In early February, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ed Markey proposed the Green New Deal, a non-binding resolution calling for economic stimulus that would address climate change and economic inequality to the House and Senate respectively. This issue garnered a lot of media attention, firstly because of its association with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and secondly because it has been a long time coming. In fact, Ocasio-Cortez spent one of her first days at the Capitol back in November, joining protesters in front of Nancy Pelosi's office, calling for a focus on climate change, as well as the Green New Deal specifically. Needless to say, the actual proposal is something that people have been very interested to see since this conversation began. So, what does this resolution contain? Among its most important proposals, it calls for 10-year national mobilizations towards accomplishing a series of goals, including meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources, upgrading all existing buildings in the country for energy efficiency, overhauling transportation systems to reduce emissions, including expanding electric car manufacturing, building charging stations everywhere, and expanding high-speed rail to a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary, a guaranteed job with family-sustaining wage, adequate family medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security for every American. Importantly, the resolution puts forward no way of actually achieving these goals, because, again, this is a non-binding resolution. So consider this just a conversation starter more than anything, but with specific goals for the conversation to discuss. Obviously, this isn't the final proposal from the Green New Deal allies, but what does that mean for the rest of us watching? Aside from seeing this get voted down in the Republican Senate, probably not a lot until the Democrats hold majorities in both houses of Congress or the presidency. In the meantime, progressive candidates for office can attach themselves to the Green New Deal without actually committing to doing anything but talk. But maybe talking is a good enough start, because according to a Gallup poll conducted right before the midterm, only 53% of voters say the environment is an important issue, which is frankly too slim a majority to bet the Green New Deal on. The upside for Democrats is that public opinion on this front is changing in their favor, with a Gallup poll from March showing 62% of voters believe the government is doing too little on the environment, the highest level of support in 12 years, and 57% saying they'd prefer to protect the environment, even at the risk of curbing economic growth. Another important aspect to consider here is the massive government spending and changes to the economy that would have to come along with this resolution if it was to become binding law. The socialism label, already used to attack this proposal, is yet another hurdle to overcome. And while this might have been a large hurdle in the past, the good news for Democrats is that according to a public opinion strategies poll from February, 45% of voters say America would be better off if our policies were more socialist, compared to 51% saying America would not be. With the margin being that close, it appears Democrats only have some slight ground to make up on that front, and that this deal isn't dead on arrival. Unfortunately for Democrats, the environment is a highly politicized issue, with that midterm Gallup poll showing a partisan split on par with a Russia investigation, with 75% of Democrats saying environmental issues are important, compared to only 27% of Republicans. If the Green New Deal remains top of mind for voters, it could be tough to separate it from the partisanship and make legislative compromise on this front very tough. Of course, every discussion has to start somewhere, so watch out for dialogue surrounding the Green New Deal as election season heats up, and see how things change, if at all. Whatever environmental legislation gets proposed from this point on will likely see its chances of success rise or fall depending on how the next election turns out. Perhaps we won't meet every goal spelled out in this resolution, but any progress made as a result of this conversation being started would be a victory for this deal's supporters, and the numbers show the voters are open to this sort of legislation being passed. Will voters get what they want? We'll have to wait and find out. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe to be notified as soon as I post my next video. If you want to learn anything more about what we discussed today, all my sources are linked in the description below. Have a lovely day, gamers.